and hopefully you guys are doing absolutely amazing today. As usual, we're just going to go ahead and wait a little bit until some more of you guys come in, and then we'll go ahead and get started, guys. All right. The Hollywood Story of Andy Dick. Well, that does sound absolutely horrific. It does. It does, potentially. Let's go ahead and put the headphones on. Alright, let's do a quick double check here. Yep, everything is good. Alright, had to check the volume, because you know how this goes, guys. So we don't go crazy and mess things up midstream. Let's bring that down. We'll wait roughly 3 minutes or so. I know I didn't give you guys much time today to know we're doing this, unfortunately. So let's set a goal of, let's say, 20 people hanging out. Then we'll go ahead and get started, guys. All right. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. No, the number is supposed to go up, not down, people. Hey. Sadia, hello. Welcome. Welcome. You definitely, guys, if you just are coming in, if you guys go ahead and like the stream, that helps a whole lot, guys. Seriously. Specifically middle of the week. Helps a whole lot. We're almost there, guys. 66%. We'll just do an automatic start in 2 minutes, I think. Just so we can get this moving along, guys. Guys, is it hot by you guys? It's like extremely hot by me, guys. Let me know. I am well, and you? Just extremely hot, right? Just that. I think it's a little. It's like it's literally for me. It's 1:30 in the morning, and it is hot to the extreme currently. 10 terrifying, true, scary stories. Apparently, these are true. That's the extent, I would say. Then we'll watch maybe one more after this, which will be the same but a different set. Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. 92. Yeah, it's like right now, for example, it's 1 o'clock. It's 1:34 and it is 80 degrees currently, but it's extremely hot, guys. 92 in Syracuse. Wow, dude. Hold on. Are you guys? Hold on. You guys all from New York? Okay, respect. Obviously, like from Long Island. Jason, where are you from in Long Island, sir? I'm from Suffolk County. I have no idea the current time in Switzerland. I think but it should be close. It should be pretty close to what it is here, though, in Spain. It should be with 1 hour behind or so, allegedly. Well, no. I'm from Suffolk County. Seriously, I think my hold on. My birth certificate says I think Oyster Bay. Syracuse. All right, upstate, Quebec. All right. Yeah, it's a little excessive. This heat is absolutely crazy. It's hot, and we're like, and like here where I live, I'm really high in the mountains, so it feels like it's even hotter here. Heidi, welcome. Welcome, Heidi. Ronkonkoma. Ah, I know where you are, sir. Respect, obviously. we are island mates. Yes. Yeah, this heat needs to just absolutely stop. I think we just need to get to a point where we can like not experience these like extreme temperatures, guys. It's crazy. It's crazy. Let me actually do a double check really quick. Let's see. Tomorrow it says it's going to be 97 tomorrow. So it's a little extreme, guys, for me. I absolutely dislike hot weather, guys. It's disturbing. All right. Let's go ahead and get this started, guys. 10 terrifying true stories. Allegedly, obviously.
When I was 15, I had my first...
From Baltimore, where it's a warm 91 degrees. That's not warm. That's excessive.
First girlfriend.
I would prefer for it to be, honestly, 60 degrees all year long. If it can just be 60, like the coldest, it'll be like 55. And then like the warmest, it'll be like maybe 70. I think the earth should revolve around that exact kind of thing. Anything more, no thank you. Anything less, no thank you. No, but then we'll miss out on snow in New York. So I'll keep the cold. I'll keep the cold and just never deal with the hot. Yeah, that's what I would do.
Lived in an upper class area, very quiet and peaceful streets. My girlfriend Casey also lived 2 blocks away, so I could walk to her house almost nightly. One Thursday night during break, when I had nothing to do, I started my walk over to Casey's house. It was on the later side of the night, but I didn't really have a curfew, so it didn't matter. But pretty soon, I thought I could start hearing noises from around me. And when I say around me, I mean mostly behind me. The first time I heard it, it was the sound of a bush being shaken a bit. I only turned my head to look for a second without stopping. I just started to walk a little faster is all. When I got to the next block, I heard another noise, a twig or a small stick cracking. I stopped this time and turned around. All I saw was the empty street and the bushes that lined up along each property to separate the sidewalks from people's properties.
You're being followed, bro.
Basically next to the street was a wall of bushes, and I didn't see anyone or anything that could be making these weird sounds. I picked up the pace even more, and I was reaching the home stretch to Casey's house. Of course, there was another sound again, this time more like footsteps. Quick, light footsteps. I turned again without stopping. No one, nothing. I could see Casey's house now. I called, and she picked up right away. I told her how freaked out I was getting because I kept hearing noises. I walked around the bushes surrounding her driveway and stepped onto her property. I noticed her staring out her bedroom window upstairs. She waved at me as she left on the phone, and I waved back. Then she asked me, "Who's that guy right behind you?" I turned right around and saw a fully grown man crouch walking maybe 10 feet in back of me. I screamed and ran for the door and started pounding on it. The man grabbed me and tried to put me in some kind of headlock, but he let go and ran away pretty quickly. Casey's mom opened the door with a look of dismay on her face. She let me in and slammed the door shut as Casey came running over.
No.
I was out of breath and felt like my heart was beating.
So this is why I generally don't walk around outside at nighttime. That's just not my thing. Somebody's following you in the bushes, crouch walking. He tries to put you in a headlock and then he lets go and runs off. This is weird, bros, right? Weird.
1,000 beats a minute. Casey's mom hugged me, asked a few questions, then called the police to warn of a dangerous man going around town.
Putting people in headlocks.
Casey's mom let me stay over that night for obvious reasons.
Oh, I bet.
She drove me home the next day.
Hey guys, if you're just coming in, if you guys can go to hit the like button, that helps a whole lot. I agree with you, Heidi. It does. It helps a whole lot. Seriously. A pistol is a good idea,
Dangerous and
caveman.
stormy night. Everyone in my family was doing their own thing. I was in my room watching TV, my parents were in the living room watching some comedy show, and my sister was playing video games upstairs.
Right.
I usually enjoyed stormy nights like this because it made me feel relaxed. I was relaxed until there was a monstrous bang on my window. I jumped up and looked outside. There was someone outside my window, but the large amount of rain pouring down the window kind of blurred his face. He started pounding at my window. It sounded like he was screaming for help. I opened the window just a crack, and he screamed in, "Let me in, I'm hurt." The rain was so loud.
Unfortunately, no. I may sound like extremely callous here, but you're not going to knock on my door at 2 o'clock in the morning or so, right? And expect for me to let you into my house. Why would I do that? Why would I do that? It just is something that I'm not going to do. All right, I'll help you from outside the door. I'll throw something down to you, but in no way you're coming into my house.
Loud. I had to scream at him to come around front. Then I shut my window.
Not with my kids, bro.
I ran outside to the living room to tell my dad that some man who seems to be in distress is screaming for help outside. And then came the knocks and shouts for help outside our front door. My dad was about to open the front door, but I stopped him. I said wait, because I wasn't sure if it was a good idea.
It's not.
Then the phone rang, and on the TV, it displayed the caller ID of our next-door neighbor. My dad ran to pick it up. When I heard him say "no fucking way," I knew something was wrong. He hung up the phone and said stay away from the door. He didn't explain why. He just went to the window to peek at the front stoop. There is where he said he saw a guy crouched down, pounding on the door, holding some kind of large, sharp tool.
Oh.
My dad yelled through the front door at the man to go away before the cops get here. Then he actually got on the phone with the cops. Eventually the man outside gave up, and he disappeared the next time we checked. When my dad was on the phone with a neighbor, he told my dad that he saw some homeless-looking guy rummaging through his shed and came out with a large chopping axe.
A large chopping axe. A large chop... See, this is what I'm saying. Don't open a door, right? Just that's not something that is normal. You understand what I'm saying? I understand you may be in trouble, but you're not coming into my house and I'm not opening the door. There's just no way that'll happen. Just stay there for about 5 minutes. Don't worry. The police will come and get you. Yes? Don't worry. I'll make sure no one attacks you from above, right? With a rifle. But just beware. You're not coming into my house, bro. Not happening.
The cops found the crazed man wandering around the streets.
Crazed
and it made
man.
it in the newspaper a few days later. One night, when I was a really young kid, I was in the living room watching my favorite cartoon. I had the TV pretty loud, but I thought I could hear my mom calling my name from downstairs.
Okay.
I called back, "What?" She didn't answer, so I guess she couldn't hear me. I heard her call me again, so I went down to the basement. The lights were off, so halfway down I called for my mom. She didn't answer. I didn't know where she could be calling me from, but one thing was for certain though, she wasn't in the basement. I started going back up the stairs, but before I even got to the top stair, I heard my mom's voice again from down in the basement calling my name. I looked down into the pitch blackness. I ran back up to the top step, turned on the lights, and walked halfway back down, peeking into the basement. I didn't see my mom anywhere down there. Suddenly, I got a huge rush of horror. I ran up the stairs, basically crying for my mom. She came rushing down the stairs from upstairs, and I cried to her that something was calling me from downstairs that sounded just like her. She swore to me that she hadn't been calling me. She went down to the basement to check and make me feel better, but I didn't feel better. I'm sure she didn't believe me. Why would she? I was a little kid, but I still know that I heard what I heard.
That story wasn't very good. Let's go.
My grandpa recently told me a story. It was about a night he took his dog for a walk. He used to have a small Boston Terrier named Sherry, who he named after an old friend of his who passed away. My grandpa lives like 2 hours from us on a farm, and there's not much that goes on there. He lives with his wife Marianne, who he married like 15 years back. Every day, Marianne would take Sherry for a walk in the morning, and my grandpa would take her for a walk in the evening. On a regular walk during sunset, my grandpa was walking Sherry down the usual dirt path that ran along the woods next to their property. My grandpa passed by another person on the trail who Sherry instinctively barked and pulled towards like most dogs do when they see strangers. My grandpa said hello to the stranger, who had a large hood up, but the stranger just walked past without even batting an eye. So he and the dog
awkward,
kept walking.
Obviously.
Sherry kept looking back every so often and barking, however. My grandpa would tell him to shush and yank at the leash to keep him walking. Eventually, my grandpa would turn around to look at what Sherry could be barking at. The stranger who passed him by a few minutes earlier was stalking him from behind a tree in the near distance. My grandpa decided to pick up the pace as fast as possible. At his
you got to get out of there, bro. You got to go.
old age, he always carries pepper spray in his big coat pocket just in case. He was getting closer to the house when suddenly he heard clicks from the leaves on the ground inches behind him. But before he could turn, he felt the warmth of a glove cover his mouth and nose, preventing him from screaming or breathing.
What?
My grandpa says he could hear Sherry barking and biting at the stranger, which might have helped in loosening the man's grip a little. My grandpa says he struggled to grab the pepper spray out from his pocket, but when he did, he sprayed it at least 10 times and continued spraying it even after the man who was holding him let go and started to scream. My grandpa came as close as he could to a run to escape back to his house. He was perfectly okay.
Well, honestly, I think that's a really good, commercial in a sense for pepper spray at the very least, right? Or a real dog. Just, go get a real dog. All right, one that can potentially strike fear in that man's heart. You get what I mean? But I get it. Let's go. Yeah, definitely a smart man for sure. Hey guys, if you're just coming in, if you guys can go ahead and hit the like button, that helps a whole lot. Okay.
I grew up in California for the first 14 years of my life.
Okay.
Our neighborhood wasn't the best, namely because it was an area that the Crips were known to reside in.
Oh.
If you don't know, the Crips are members of one of the biggest Los Angeles street gangs.
Right.
My best friend, who I always called Stevie D, lived 2 doors down.
Stevie D.
We had other friends, of course, but we would often hang out just he and I. We'd usually ride our bikes together around town or play video games, just basic kid stuff. When we were 12, we were biking around the neighborhood one night and decided to visit a well-known abandoned house. It had been uninhabited for many years because no one would buy it for whatever reason. When we pulled up on our bikes to the front of the house, Stevie pointed to the window and said, "Look." I pushed my bike a little closer to the window and focused my vision on it. I could see someone peeking out the window. I couldn't tell if they were looking at us or not, but it was definitely a person's face sitting between the curtains.
Listen, from doing all these videos recently, I realized something. Basements, attics, abandoned houses should generally probably just be left alone, right? Don't go into these things. Why? Because potentially you will run into very unsavory type of people in these type of structures. Well, mainly abandoned buildings and houses. Definitely that's not a good idea, guys.
It was extremely strange considering the place had been unowned for years. We stared for longer than we should have, perhaps,
right,
and noticed something else that was strange. The person didn't move their face at all. We inched a little closer, onto the empty driveway actually. Upon getting closer, it appeared to be a Halloween decoration or something, like a fake head. This meant someone had snuck into the house to put it there. Stevie D and I, being the mischievous kids we used to be, hatched an idea to sneak in through the back somehow and check out the place. We hid our bikes on the side of the house behind an overgrown bush, then snuck into the yard. To our surprise, the back door was already unlocked. But when we came to think of it, it wasn't that surprising, considering it seemed someone had already broken in to put that fake head there. We stepped into the house, but we didn't want to turn the lights on and expose the fact that we were in the house. It was dark in there, but not pitch black, so we could make our way through the house. We got to the living room first because we wanted to check out that fake head thing at the window. It smelled really bad in that room, though. I picked up the head from the windowsill and immediately dropped it and screamed. I dropped it not because it was surprisingly heavy,
because it was a real head.
It also felt like real skin. I saw a dark liquid pouring out from the bottom of the head that was now on the floor.
A dark liquid?
It was blood.
Okay.
It was a real human head. There were 2 cracks in the ceiling above us. Stevie and I looked at each other with our mouths hanging open. We ran for the back door and got back on our bikes to get the hell out of there. Anyone in our immediate area learned pretty soon that the head belonged to a victim of the Crips, who apparently placed the head there as some kind of message.
Oh my.
I don't think anyone knew the full story, but there was a good chance whoever placed that head there was still in the house, because Stevie and I both heard cracks in the ceiling above us, as if someone was coming downstairs.
Well, that's horrific. Shit. Yeah, let's just stay away from abandoned houses and buildings, guys.
Last year, a guy came to my house's door around 9 p.m. He knocked on the door, so I got my mom, and she went out to see who it was. By the way, we live in a rural area, so visits that late.
Okay, 9 a.m., rural area. No thank you. No thank you, guys.
They're extremely uncommon and strange. The guy talked to my mom about how he was opening a business, asked whether she liked American-made products, then handed her a Clorox container as a sample. He went back to his minivan and opened it to get a quote-unquote vacuum.
Wait, is it Heaven Sent by Juice WRLD? Eminem? I'll take a look at it. Definitely. It sounds like something that would do well on the channel.
Cleaner. And my mom saw 5 other men sitting inside. She told me to run and get my phone since we don't have a landline. I couldn't find it, so I got my knife and stood around the corner. She threw the container outside and told them to get the hell off her property, as well as that she was calling the cops. They peeled out of the driveway, and we never saw the car again.
Yeah, K. Harmon, appreciate the donation. Second Chance, Speed Demon Freestyle. My project manager will take it down, dude. You got it.
I've always been an extreme sports person ever since I was little.
All right.
Mountain climbing, parasailing, scuba diving, though I've always been an avid skier. I'd go upstate skiing at least 10 times a season, sometimes with friends, sometimes alone. My friend, who I'll call Q, agreed to come upstate and go camping with me so we could do some backcountry skiing, which is basically skiing in the backcountry on unmarked or unpatrolled areas outside of a ski resort's boundaries. It was a 3-hour drive, then a decent amount of off-roading to get to where the hills were. I parked my truck at the bottom of a decent-looking area full of hills, but I also stopped there because I couldn't really drive out much further given that there were too many trees. Q and I then proceeded to unload the back of my truck of all our stuff, including ski gear and camping equipment. Then we hiked about a quarter mile, which was an incredible amount of work with all the stuff we were carrying. We found a perfect place to set up camp, right near the bottom of an uphill, and in a bit of a clearing between the trees. Setting up the tent and unloading our sleeping bags and equipment and such was first priority.
Right.
When all of that was done, we started our hike up the hill to scout the area. We did a decent amount of hiking, but we also got a lot of skiing in. At one point, Q and I lost each other while skiing down a bigger hill. I assumed I'd meet him at the bottom, or just find him eventually. I checked the walkie-talkie just to see if he'd answer, but he didn't, which meant he was probably still going downhill. At some point while I was walking with my skis at the bottom of the hill, I ran into someone, another skier. He sounded very friendly under a ski mask, asking me where the best hills are and if we were camping and such.
Yeah, I'm not going to trust a random person I met in the middle of the woods. Wouldn't do it. Not me, personally.
He had his skis strapped to his orange backpack.
Right.
I pointed to the hill I just skied down and also pointed in the direction we set up camp. He said he and his wife were trying to find a good place to set up camp near other people and asked if I could lead him to my campsite. As much as I
Oh, yeah? Okay.
really didn't want to trek all the way back there, I felt I had to be a good Samaritan and help this man and his wife. I
No.
pulled out my walkie again and said into the speaker to Q that I was going back to the campsite for a bit.
Don't do it, bro.
I started to lead the man who was behind me, when suddenly I started getting some static from another end on the walkie. It seemed someone, probably Q, was trying to talk to me, but the connection was shit. Nothing I could do about that except for come back to this hill afterwards. It took a decent amount of hiking and small talk with the man before we reached the campsite. I turned around to him and smiled under my ski mask, which I realized instantly was pointless. He sounded very thankful for he and his wife. Then I finally asked him, "Where is your wife?" He didn't
What
answer.
wife?
He
He's not a
started
wife.
to walk closer to me. At first I thought nothing of it, but for some reason, something about his skis and backpack just struck me. They belonged to Q. For a split second,
Oh, something about his skis just brought back memories in a sense. They belong to his friend. Do you understand what's going on here, guys? Don't trust random people you meet in the woods, guys. Hold on, guys. TW, appreciate the donation. Chain Guy Fox, epic. Okay. I actually just started my TikTok, and I'm very novice, so I have no idea what's actually happening with TikTok, right? So don't worry, we're gonna get it going successfully soon, hopefully, guys. Let's see. All right, yeah, we'll put that on a list.
I thought, is this Q? Is he pranking me? But It was impossible. The voice was too different from Q. The man was a few mere feet away from me at this point,
Bro.
and he was picking up the pace to a more intimidating approach. I panicked and jumped into the tent to dig for my flare gun in my bag.
Yes, jump into your tent. Your tent will save you.
The man grabbed my leg, which was sticking out from the tent, and then I felt a sharp, intense tingle in my leg, like a severe electric shock, followed by a burning heat feeling.
Oh, he tased you.
I screamed in pain as I just managed to pull out the flare gun, push aside the door to the vent, and aim it at the man. He immediately backed up with his hands in the air, and that's when I noticed the knife dug deep into my leg.
Oh.
I ordered the man to tell me where my friend was. He answered quickly, saying near the bottom of the hill he found me at. I told the man to stand still while I called 911 to request an immediate rescue. But the man took off quite easily while I was on the phone. There wasn't much I could do with one single flare gun shot. I felt like I was waiting there in the cold with my...
First of all, why are you in the wilderness without a gun? Why are you in the wilderness without something to protect yourself? I'm confused. A flare gun? A flare gun, okay?
bleeding leg forever, until finally the reassuring sound of a rescue helicopter swooped overhead, and I shot my flare gun. I cannot believe I was actually picked up by a helicopter, in which I helped locate my friend laying in the snow in the middle of the hill. He was unconscious, and he had also been stabbed twice in the leg, then robbed. He tried talking to me through the walkie-talkie while he was losing consciousness, but the connection was bad. We both went to the hospital, but we're fine today.
Come on.
I lived in a small college town, and my apartment complex was walking distance from the bar/downtown area. One weekday night, I stepped out on our front porch to smoke a cigarette or two. I was up late studying. I brought my textbook with me and laid down on the stairs while I smoked. A girl who I had never met before, but who lived one apartment over on the ground floor, came home from downtown.
All right.
She was by herself, and you could tell from her walk she had been drinking. She got in her apartment and barely got the door closed before some guy, who came out of nowhere, knocked on her door. She opened, and I noticed he introduced himself, which was weird because it was like 2:30 in the morning. Who comes to a random girl's apartment at that time?
Okay. I'm sure there are people that will be at some random girl's apartment at 2 o'clock in the morning, but I mean, if you're just like outside, like on some stalker shit, then I guess that's the case.
So I decided to stay outside and pay attention. They ended up talking for over 10 minutes. She later acknowledged how weird the situation was, but did not know how to end the conversation.
Right.
He would do the creepiest things, like he reached up and stroked her hair at least 3 times, and he would try to slowly inch his way closer to her in the door. I made a point of being loud with my textbook so he would know I was there, and he disappeared as eerily as he came. We called the cops, and days later they had the girl and I sit with a sketch artist. As soon as the sketch was made public, floods of calls came in. The guy turned out to be a serial rapist who followed lone girls home from bars and pretended to be a cab offering them a ride. This girl just got lucky because she lived so close to the bars he didn't get a chance to pull the cab routine.
Oh.
I've only used Craigslist once in my life, and the one time I used it, I got a very sour taste in my mouth. Here's why. The guy posted an ad for a ping pong table that I wanted to buy for my roommate and I. We set up a time for me to come pick it up that night. I had to remove the back seats from my truck so that I'd be able to fit the thing. I pulled up in front of the dude's house and texted him saying I'm here. I saw the door open, so I got out from my truck and did a quick speed walk to his front door to greet him. I went for the handshake, but I don't think he saw my arm, so after a few awkward seconds, I put my hand back down.
Hey guys, if you're just coming in, if you guys go to hit the like button, it helps a whole lot, alright? Whole lot.
He said in his deep smoker's voice to follow him to the basement.
Hold on, guys.
The whole house had a certain distinct smell to it. Awkward seconds, I put my hand back down. He said in his deep smoker's voice to follow him to the basement. The whole house had a certain distinct smell to it. Not exactly a bad or concerning smell, just a cottony, smoky kind of smell. We got to the basement, and there was the ping pong table, right smack in the middle of the room. Suddenly he said, "Oh shoot, I gotta find the paddles." So he ran back up the stairs and told me to wait right there. I waited for a while down there, assuming he misplaced the paddles and was having a hard time finding them. I started to snoop around his basement a little bit, looking at his pictures and such. It was weird. He had framed pictures sitting on furniture, but they were all pictures of just him, no family members. There was one where he was at least with a dog, but that was pretty much it. I'd say 10 minutes went by and I was still stuck waiting down there, so I started to get even more snoopy. There was a back laundry/storage room in his basement that I started to observe for some reason. There was a drawer to his utility desk that was hanging half open. I pulled it fully open, and it revealed old Polaroid pictures.
So basically what happened was he went to go buy a ping pong table, and the guy said, "Hey, just hang out in the basement here for a while." What? Why would I do that?
But these pictures were horrific and disturbing. They were all pictures taken of some girl who was tied to a chair and her mouth covered with tape. There were also yellow folders stacked in a row next to the photos. They were labeled A to Z. I didn't have it in me to open the folders and see what were inside.
You have to go, bro.
I took out my phone to take pictures of the contents of the drawer.
Yeah.
And planned to send it to my friends immediately. But I didn't have any service down there. It was definitely time to go.
Obviously.
I ran back to the door at the top of the stairs, but my nightmare only became worse finding out the door was locked.
Oh, he locked you in the basement? Oh, shit.
As soon as I tried the doorknob, though, I heard the deep, raspy voice of the man on the other side of the door. He was apologizing, saying the door was accidentally locked and he would go look for the key real quick.
The door was accidentally locked, and he'll go look for the key. Bro, what is this even? Listen, this is why I generally don't mess with Craigslist. If I have to do anything with Craigslist, it will be in a super public place. Super public place, guys. And I'm not going to no one's house to buy or pick up anything. No chance.
I didn't say
chance
a word in response. I examined the keyhole closely, ran back down the stairs to the man's utility desk, grabbed 3 screwdrivers of varying sizes, and tried each one in the keyhole for the door. The smallest screwdriver managed to fit in the rectangular-shaped keyhole, allowing me to turn it just enough to unlock and open the door. I didn't stop and look around. I simply ran out the door into my car. I didn't look back at the house. I simply drove to the nearest police station, showed them the pictures, gave them the address, told them where to find the photos, and that was enough for them to start their investigation. A few days later, I got all the information.
Okay.
The man was part of a child pornography trade on the deep web, which was how he made his living, apparently. Why he decided to lock me in his basement, that's beyond me. I have not the slightest idea of what he intended on doing with me, but obviously it was not anything good.
What? That's uncomfortable.
I used to babysit in my teenage years. When I was 14, I babysat for a 6-year-old boy named Cody once. His parents left me with few instructions other than to order a pizza for dinner and not let him go in their room. They also left me with an interesting comment, that Cody tends to act different than other kids and that he'll talk to himself or his imaginary friend, especially when he played with his toys.
Okay.
So, it was midday, pouring outside. I was watching some old Wipeout show that used to be on TV in the early 2000s. Cody was on the floor playing with his toys that were scattered across the living room. Cody kept using the name Agnes. He would act like he was playing with another kid who was sitting in front of him. One of his toys that were sitting across the room from him activated out of nowhere. I only found it weird because the toy was one of those little cube-like things with the crank where you pull it down and some simulated moving racing background came up on the screen. It was the kind of toy that would take effort to activate. And there it was, activated all by itself. I asked Cody how that was possible. He looked at me and said, "Agnes is playing with it."
Oh, I'm leaving the kid inside the house.
I have to admit, it was a little disturbing
I'm getting out of there.
to even say that.
Sorry, call me a bad person, but the kid is gone. All right, like, I mean,
I picked up the toy and turned it off. That night, in the final hour,
stay here
waiting for
as
his
I
parents to
run
come
out
back,
the door.
I was in the bathroom washing up when there was a knock at the door. "Cody?" I said.
Okay.
I opened the door. Cody wasn't there. I looked into the hallway for Cody. One of the doors at the end of the hall started to creak open slowly, like really slowly.
Mm-hmm.
I turned off the light to the bathroom and walked into the room expecting to see Cody playing around, trying to scare me.
Of course you did.
Instead, Cody was sitting on the bed in the far corner of the room, looking at me. I asked him who just pushed open the door.
Agnes.
Agnes.
I knew it. Nope, I'm
Now
done.
Truly freaked.
Sorry. I may be a bad person. Like, but this is not happening. I'm calling I'm walking outside the house. I'm sitting in the car and calling the parents and being like, "Listen, I'm sorry, this is not working. This is not going to work out. All right, there's no way."
I went to pick
There's
Cody up
absolutely
off the
no
bed
way.
and brought him to the living room, where I spent the rest of my shift until his parents came back. I didn't mention any of the weird things that happened, but when they reached out to me to watch Cody again a few weeks later, I never called them back.
Of course. Why would you partake in this? Hell no, guys. 1 second. Jump into the next one real quick. But yeah, absolutely. There's no chance we're doing this, guys. Cosmic Turtle. Hello.
In my early days after graduating college, I didn't have a lot of money, so I had to rent an apartment with someone else who I'd never met before. He'd become my roommate, and his name was Randall. At first, he seemed easy enough to get along with. He didn't talk too much, but he had a heavy Spanish accent. The room I'd be getting was already furnished, and that was one of the appealing factors to this apartment. It had a twin-sized bed tucked in the corner, a nice-sized dresser, a closet, and a TV stand in another corner of the room.
Okay.
There were a bunch of stuffed animals sitting on the dresser, though, which I found a bit odd. Most notably, a big teddy bear facing the bed. When I asked Randall about the stuffed animals, he gave a really loud laugh and said his room had the same thing. He recommended I leave them be as to show respect to the landlord. I didn't really talk to Randall much that first day other than that. I spent most of my time on...
First of all, you walk into a room that you're going to be renting and there's a teddy bear. Teddy bears normally have like those nanny cams in them. So basically what they're saying is you're walking in a room that's being monitored by someone else, most likely, because the eyes are cameras. Okay. All right. Endless River, I appreciate the donation. Howdy from New Orleans. Hope you're well. I'm very well, sir. I appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by, sir. Let's go.
I didn't really talk to Randall much that first day other than that. I spent most of my time unpacking my clothes and supplies and setting up my TV. When I was laying in the bed watching TV that night, I thought I heard something. It was a very brief noise, but it was definitely audible, and it sounded like some kind of small electronic component. I chalked it up to being a house noise and continued my show.
Small electronic component.
The next day, Randall wasn't home all day. I didn't know if or where he worked, but I just assumed he was at work. That night, when I was in my room watching TV, I heard the front door open and Randall walked through the hall to his room before shutting the door. A little later, I was getting changed into my pajamas when I heard the same sound from the night before.
I'm gonna guess it's like maybe the camera inside of the bear turning on potentially and moving. Maybe that small mechanical noise is that potentially. Just trying to understand what's happening here. Let's go.
This time without the TV noise in the background, so I heard it much clearer. It was definitely some kind of electronic device, but I didn't know what or where. It still didn't seem like a big deal, so I got into my bed and started reading my current book at the time, then went to sleep. The next day, I saw Randall when I came home after work, and he asked me what book I was reading.
What book you were reading? How do you know I was reading a book, sir? Yeah, listen, hey guys, if you're just coming in, if you guys go ahead and hit the like button, that helps a whole lot. It spreads us to the world. Yes, let's go.
At first I didn't get the question, but then he said he was talking about the book that I was reading in my room. I looked at him in silence and confusion. I asked him how he knew I was reading a book, and he said in his heavy Spanish accent that he had to go into my room just to take something out that he left in there, and that's when he noticed the book. I asked him nicely not to go into my room anymore. Fortunately, there wasn't a lock on the door, so I couldn't stop him when I wasn't home. That night, when I grabbed my book from under my bed, I stopped and wondered, how would he see my book if I had it under my bed?
Wait, how would he see the book if she had it underneath the bed? Exactly. What are you doing there, sir? You're snooping now. Endless River, appreciate the donation. Yeah, most likely. Definitely tickled by the bear camera, guys. For sure.
Thinking about this now creeped me out, and I was in no mood to read anymore.
Exactly.
I looked around the room as I thought to myself. Then I noticed that big teddy bear on the dresser again. How it was angled so perfectly to face me in the bed. Then I had a thought. A scary thought.
Alright.
I stood up and walked over to the bear, grabbed it, and looked closely into its eyes. I felt my heart skip a beat when I realized there was a camera in one of the eye holes.
Of course.
I threw the thing into the corner of the room and went to Randall's door and tried opening it. His door apparently had a lock because it wouldn't open.
But his door had a lock.
I knew he was in there. I pounded on the door screaming his name, but he wouldn't answer. I saw the light sneaking in through the bottom of the door go dark, as I assume he turned off the light. I went back to my room and called the landlord. I explained everything and told him I'm leaving right now, and I had a...
Patrick Williams, I appreciate the donation. Einstein versus Hawkins. Alright. My project manager will take that down, bro.
valid reason to void the contract.
ERB.
I packed a little amount of now, and I had a valid reason to void the contract.
Of course.
I packed a little amount of things I brought into my car and left that same night, never looking back.
Of course.
The landlord surprisingly never even came to me to collect the money for those few days I was there. Ever since that night, I have a phobia of stuffed bears. Like, I always have to turn them away so that they're not facing me.
Yeah, like, listen, the most common usage for nanny cams are going to be found, like, well, not common usage, but like, think about it. Bears are like the most common thing that these nanny cameras are hidden in, guys. Come on, why would you... I don't know, maybe I'm too, like, cynical. I look at every single thing around me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think I would have gotten caught into this shenanigans, at least. Hopefully you guys won't get caught in this craziness either.
It's 2016.
Okay.
Our new neighbors invite our family over for a nighttime barbecue. My mom and my dad and my sister and I meet in their backyard at like 8 o'clock. This is the first time that I personally meet them. It's just a husband and wife and a teenage boy. I quickly learn the boy's name is Jeremy.
Alright.
The husband seems to be the nicest of them all. There's something cold about the wife, and the son Jeremy seems to have some kind of mental or social issues because he won't talk at all. He constantly looks all over the place, and he seems to be really sad or gloomy. I also catch him staring at me a few times. Each time I grow increasingly uncomfortable around him and try even harder not to look at him anymore. After eating a burger and hot dog each, our parents pretty much talked to his parents. I wait a little bit before sneaking back to our house because I was bored and uncomfortable. The next day on my walk to school, since I lived 2 blocks away from the high school, I turned my head around a few houses after passing our
Exactly, Carrie.
neighbor's house and see someone jump behind a tree as if to be hiding. I turn back in front of me and start to walk faster. I get to the last block before the school and turn around again. This time I see the same person hiding in a bush in front of someone's house. It's Jeremy. I can tell by his long hair. And he's looking right at me.
Oh yeah, of course
I
he
walk
is.
as fast as I can without running and make it to the school safely a minute later. When I get home that day, I tell my parents, and they go over and talk to the neighbors. When my parents come back to talk to me, I learn from them that Jeremy is apparently not like the other kids, according to his parents word for word. That also seemed to be enough explanation for my parents to tell me to just ignore him, as if him following me to school wasn't an insanely creepy thing to do.
Well, I mean, does Jeremy go to the school with her, potentially? Maybe, well, I don't know. Maybe the kid's just, like, awkward. We'll figure this out.
Later on, I go outside to sit on the patio and do my homework. And just as Jeremy and his creepiness come to mind, I turn to look at the neighboring house, up at the only window that overlooks our backyard. And there he is. Jeremy is sitting...
No, there's something wrong. All right, yeah.
...at that window, looking at me. But as he notices me, he quickly hides. I run inside and tell my parents, and they once again quote what his parents said and tell me not to worry about him. Later that night...
Yeah, caveman. Definitely Buffalo Bill vibes.
After texting friends and whatnot in bed, I finally put my phone down on the desk and roll on my side to go to sleep. A certain amount of time that I can't remember passes before I hear a click at my window, and then suddenly my window slides open.
I'm not advocating the use of violence towards other people, right? But if you come to my window and you open my window, all right, I don't think I need to finish that statement, guys. Don't do that, all right? To my daughter? Oh my God!
Without even knowing who's there, I scream at the top of my lungs.
You know it's Jeremy.
And soon my parents come rushing inside, all while I'm pressing up against the wall in shock as someone climbs through my window into my room. My parents turn on the lights.
Don't worry, Jeremy just wants to tickle you, bro. That's it.
Revealing Jeremy holding a large kitchen knife. Everyone screams, including my father, as he comes and grabs me to pull me out of the room. The 4 of us all rush to the neighbor's house to tell them. The man next door leads us into our own house and grabs his son when he finds him in the living room. He snatches the knife from his hands and tugs him out of the house. My dad sends all of us inside as he stays outside screaming at the man next door. Moments later, he comes back inside and calls the police to get a restraining order. My dad promised those neighbors a living hell if they were not moved out by the next week. The police come and take Jeremy away, probably to some kind of place for people with mental disabilities, not a regular jail. Moving along to a week later, Jeremy didn't stay in that house anymore. We don't know where he stays now, but we've never seen him since.
What do you even say to that, bro? Yes, tickle with the knife. Yeah, just a little tickle. No big deal. Exactly. These terrible people that... Listen.
This story was by far the scariest thing to ever happen in my life. I went to a bar with my friends on a Saturday night, and as we usually did, we all got decently intoxicated.
Right.
The night became a complete blur about an hour after showing up to the bar. I vaguely remember talking to a few guys that came up to me. Didn't remember anything out of the ordinary, though.
Okay.
I live walking distance to the bar we were at that night, so I guess when I got tired or bored, I left. And I do remember walking to my house that night. I think it was when I was starting to sober up a little bit. We always used to leave a key under a flower pot in our stoop, and I always used that key on nights like this so that I wouldn't have to walk around with my keys on me while I'm drunk. I got home, locked the door behind me, and went straight to my room to fall into my bed. I skipped the changing into pajamas and brushing my teeth and whatnot. I did lay there awake with my phone in my hands, texting my friends, seeing if they were still there and making sure they got home okay, though. Suddenly, I heard the front door open downstairs. The only thing I was thinking was that it could be my little brother getting home, since he usually got home really late. My best friend texted back,
So basically someone followed her from the bar?
asking how I got away from the guy. I replied back, "What guy?" She said the creep that wouldn't stop talking to me at the bar. The bar was such a blur that I didn't remember which specific guy she could be talking about. I heard some noises downstairs. I assumed my brother was making a late-night snack in the kitchen. Then I heard walking up the stairs. My best friend texted me again, saying she saw him leave the bar right after me. Now, I was still decently drunk, but
Right.
still, I was starting to become suspicious. Steps came up the stairs outside, then stopped outside my door. Then the door quietly opened. It was dark outside of the room too, so I couldn't see who was standing at my door.
It could be Jeremy. Jeremy could be back.
I said my brother's name, and then the door shut. But I didn't hear whoever it was walk away, so I was led to believe they were standing outside my door. I immediately texted my brother, asking if it was him. Surprisingly, he texted back right away, saying, "Was what me? Why do you keep opening the front door?" We live with our mom. She's the only other person in the house, but she was
Why did you keep opening the front door? Someone is in your house, bro.
away for the week, so I didn't
For
know what to
sure.
think, other than it was an intruder. I called the cops without telling my brother, and hearing 911, "What is your emergency?" for the first time in my life really made the situation seem that much more severe. I described what I believed to be a break-in, and as I was on the phone, I leaned over and turned on my bedroom lamp. As the room went from dark to bright, I saw a man standing in the corner of the room by the door. I screamed.
What? Like, so what you're saying is, the man walked into your door. You thought he left, but no, he didn't leave. He didn't leave. What he did was he walked into the room with you, and he just is standing in the corner, looking at you in the darkness with your phone. Keep that in mind. This is weird, guys. It may be Jeremy. It may be.
I saw a man standing in the corner of the room by the door. I screamed and shrieked while still on the line with a 911 operator, who kept asking what's wrong. The man in the corner opened the
Everything
door and
is
fled
wrong.
the scene.
Everything
I heard
is
him run
wrong.
out the front door. I stayed on the line with the operator, who advised me every move I should make until a cop car actually showed up.
Right.
I was still intoxicated, so the info I gave on the police report was probably not the most accurate. But I described the man to be mid-20s looking, stocky, full beard, and a short haircut. One of the two officers then
That's like everyone, kinda.
lifted his hand, revealing a key he was holding, and said he found that in the front door lock. It was the spare key that we keep under the flower pot. The intruder used it to get in,
I think a lot of Assassin's Creed, guys. I think that's how they're getting so good with stealth.
meaning he
Almost
followed me
positive.
home and watched me take the key from under the pot. The officer told me to rest assured he'd be patrolling close around the area all night, and advised my brother and I to keep our doors locked and find a new hiding spot for the key. The next day, besides my hangover, I felt relieved. I told my friends about what happened, and they described everything in detail. That some creepy-looking guy in the bar had been following me all night trying to talk to me every chance he got, and somehow I was oblivious to it. I took a long break from going to bars, and we don't hide a key outside anymore.
Well, okay. Yeah, let's just not hide keys, like, apparently. It was never something I had any interest in doing anyway. Carrie, Skyrim is another really good option. That it could be Skyrim also.
For the past 3 years or so, I've worked as an overnight security guard at a mall. It used to be that the mall didn't require an overnight person, but vandalism started to become a problem. Most of the time I
Yeah, that sneak skill was super hard to get in Skyrim,
would
guys.
drive around the parking lot all night listening to my car radio. Now and then I'd kick some skateboarders out of the parking lot or investigate a suspicious person lurking about. Other than that, I'd say the job was pretty tame. Maybe 3 months in, I experienced something a little bit stranger. I noticed that the light to one of the shops was on while driving around the parking lot. This was surprising to me considering no one had snuck past me as of yet.
Hey, are all of the malls near you guys like dead? Because like I've been recently seeing like all of the malls that I grew up with are all dead right now, and they kind of look like this apparently. Let me know if your closest mall even still exists, guys, or the ones you went to as a kid. I'm interested.
So of course I parked the car and headed inside the mall to catch the potential thieves.
Right.
As I approached the shop, I didn't hear the sound of anyone rummaging through the inventory. Sure enough, the shop was empty. As a matter of fact, even the security gate was still down. Only the shop owners had access to the security gates, so I couldn't really do anything about the light being on. I headed back out to my car. I'd say an hour went by with no incident, but as I was circling around the entrance to the mall, I saw another light was on inside.
Yeah, it's called Amazon. Yeah, I figured it. Yeah, Amazon absolutely kills malls. Like here in Spain, the malls are absolutely full. So like, but I realize in America, like the malls are just non-existent, unfortunately, any longer, or unexistent. And so, what do we have here? Yeah, what are malls? Exactly. What are malls? Yeah.
Inside the mall, it was the same scene repeated.
Like it's a shame. Like the younger generation will not be able to just be like, I'm just gonna go hang out in the mall. You know what I'm saying here? It's unfortunate. Seriously.
The light was onto the shop, but the security gate was still closed. I even tugged on the damn thing to see if someone heard me coming and just hid from me. Nope, it was locked. I heard a click from behind me while investigating. The previous light was no longer on. Maybe it was my mind playing tricks on me, but I swear I saw someone run behind the counter and hide. I think about now is a good time to mention I was running on 3 hours of sleep for the past 48 hours, and I was blaming these occurrences just simply on the lack of sleep. I shined my flashlight into the shop and scanned the area. Nothing that I could see. Behind me was another click. Once again the light to the shop was off, and this time I know I saw someone standing in there. So I simply called out, "You can either leave with me or you can leave with the police." They didn't move, just stood next to the light switch. I approached the gate and turned my light in the direction of the light switch, and there was no one standing there. I did see that a clothes rack was fairly close to the switch, so maybe the light was catching the clothes just right and was casting a shadow. That was the most logical explanation I could think of, at least.
Potentially.
I left the mall. I was pretty spooked from the events of that night, but after a few months, they were pretty much out of my mind. My patrols were nothing special for a while after that. I think my next incident happened around my 1-year anniversary as a guard.
Right.
It was winter, and I was inside of the mall checking the pipes.
Another story.
Yes, I was on security duty, but the owners decided to save a buck by having me inspect certain things as well. It was whatever. I was heading to one of the bathrooms to relieve myself when I heard a toilet flush.
Oh yeah, there's somebody in there, bro.
I jumped a little more than I would like to admit. Inside of the bathroom, I didn't see anyone. The toilets in the mall were motion activated, much like every other mall in the world. I checked all of the stalls, empty. I'll spare you the details, but after checking the stalls, I took a seat in one of them. I had a YouTube video playing on my phone while I was sitting. Then I heard a tapping sound coming from the stall next to me.
Agnes? Is that you?
I glanced to my left and saw a pair of shoes standing with the toes pointing towards me. Slowly, I brought my eyes up above the stall. Sure enough, there was the tallest man I'd ever seen, standing over the stall, staring down at me. Had I not...
This man's like stock photo, like the stock footage that he uses is just legendary. Okay, this is weird. All right, this is weird. Let's continue.
I'd already been on the toilet. I would have been running home for new pants. When he saw me,
if I wasn't already on the toilet, don't worry, I'd be running home for new pants. Oh, I love that.
Notice him. He ducked back down beneath the stall. I hopped up and kicked in the door to the neighboring stall. The damn thing was empty, except for a pair of shoes sitting in the same spot I had seen them. My heart was thumping like crazy. I went back to my car as quickly as possible after that.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, this happened at around 4 in the morning. Once again, I accredited all of this to my lack of sleep.
Oh, okay.
I was just happy that I had the next day off.
I would just refuse working there. I'll be honest.
My friend and I
Hey guys, if you're just coming in, if you guys go to hit the like button, that helps a whole lot. Yes? Let's go.
once went to the infamous abandoned Rolling Acres Mall in Akron, Ohio. I'll call my friend Jake for this story for privacy reasons.
Okay. Yes.
We went at like 11 o'clock at night on a Wednesday night, since we didn't have school the next day. We snuck in through some door which had been jammed in by previous visitors. It was completely pitch black in there.
Exactly, Jacob. I would never feel safe there. Never. It wouldn't be something I would ever do again. There's just nothing I wouldn't be able to sleep at night.
Door which had been jammed in by previous visitors. It was completely pitch black in there, obviously. We turned out our flashlights for a few seconds just to really take in how dark it was. We explored the lower level, then went up to the second
Mall paintball sounds really good, Patrick. I'm not going to lie. It sounds really good.
level by climbing up an escalator. As we were shining the flashlights into old closed-off stores, we heard a bang-like sound come from further down this upper level. I got scared and asked Jake if it could be security or cops. He said he doubted it, probably just more people like us exploring. But we did still try to move in the opposite direction from the sound, just in case.
Yeah.
We were right by the JCPenney in the mall, when we heard another similar bang-like sound like from before, this time louder and closer. Jake and I turned off our flashlights.
Sounds like gunshots, though.
We didn't know who that could be. With our lights out, we did the best we could to make a little distance between us and the sound, without banging into walls or anything. Suddenly, I heard a psst. It came from a little further in front of me. It was kind of muffled, too.
Okay.
So I assumed it was Jake calling me ahead. I kept hearing him going, psst, psst. So I kept following the sound of it.
You're following... Okay, you're following the sound of someone psst, calling you over? Walk the other way. No, run the other way. You were urbex. Right now you're urban exploring. You don't want to meet people while you're urban exploring. Again, abandoned building, crazy, creepy people, bro. All right. That should be rule number 1.
When I got close enough, I whispered to Jake, "Where do we go now?"
He
didn't answer. So I started feeling around for him, and I found what I believed to be his shoulder.
Oh,
Only the fabric of the jacket I felt did not match the fabric of the coat I knew Jake was wearing. I turned on the flashlight and screamed when I looked up and saw the person I was holding onto wasn't Jake, but rather...
What did you expect?
Rather some tall guy wearing a beanie and a face mask.
Oh.
The man grabbed me and put me in a headlock as he tried dragging me.
Of course, people randomly like putting people in headlocks, apparently. This is the second headlock story.
Jake came out from the darkness and landed one clean punch to the man's face, which gave me just enough time to take off as he let go of me. Jake and I ran to the same place we came in from, and when we got outside, we continued running until we got to the car. We didn't stop to catch our breath just yet, though. Jake booked it out of the abandoned parking lot, and only then did we feel relief. I gave Jake a firm handshake as I...
Yeah, Heidi, that's why when I heard him pronounce it, I was like, wait, this sounds wrong in my head. That's exactly why I repeated it, how he said it.
Laughed and caught my breath, thanking him for potentially saving my life.
Let's get it.
I used to work in a 24/7 general store in a mall in South Carolina, so while the mall itself would close around 9:30, our store would stay open all night. There were 2 entrances to the store, one from inside the actual mall itself, and then a back door that people could enter through after the mall closed. Past 9:30, I would always have to shut the gate, separating the store from the mall. Given that this was a smaller store, it was never really busy in the deep night hours, which also made my job very uneventful most of the time. But there was one night shift that turned out to be anything.
Endless River, I appreciate the donation. Never, ever, ever follow the sounds. Didn't we learn our lessons in Vietnam? Exactly. But not these people. Not these people. But exactly.
But uneventful. It was towards the middle of my shift. The gate between the store and the mall was down, but I could still see through it, obviously, into the dark half-lit hallway of the mall. The mall always had night lights on, which were much dimmer, but bright enough for the security guards to see what's going on in the cameras. I was doing my own thing, organizing the shelves, making sure everything was neat, when I heard a rattle at the metal cage. I looked and saw some guy standing on the other side, grasping the gate with his hands. At first, I thought it was the security guard on duty. It was the only logical explanation, even though it was rare to ever see them walking around. But as I got closer and asked if there was a problem, I realized it wasn't a security guard.
Of course it wasn't.
It was just some random man. He was wearing a dirty black and white plaid shirt and very baggy blue jeans.
Right.
Most notably, though, and what made this exceptionally strange, was that he was just looking up at the ceiling. I inched a little closer and again asked if something was wrong and if he needed help, but he just kept looking up and shaking the gate. Now, there was some kind of protocol I was supposed to follow in the case of something like this in order to get the mall security. However, I didn't know how. I didn't know what number to dial, I didn't know how to work any kind of intercoms, so all I could really do was shut it out. I turned my back to the creepy man and went back to my register behind the counter, as far away from him as possible. Unfortunately, the shelves are angled perpendicularly to the counter, not parallel, so the man at the gate was in direct line of sight from me still. He finally seemed to back away. Like, literally walked backwards, though.
He decided to back away. Like, literally walk backwards. Okay, this is odd. While looking at the ceiling? Alright? He's going to come around to your open door now. Alright?
His head still up at the ceiling.
He has to.
All that was going through my mind was where could security be? It was to my understanding that there would be at least one person watching the cameras at night. Anyway, I tried to just move past it, resuming my cleaning activities. I couldn't help but look back outside to the mall every once in a while, though. Thankfully, he was gone now. Eventually, someone came into the shop. I heard the back door slide open.
It's
I was
that man.
in between two shelves and couldn't see them, so I continued with my work. After finishing up sweeping the aisle, I went back to the register to wait for the customer. I saw the customer now. They were standing at the end of the last aisle to the left, the alcohol aisle. He was looking up. At first I thought he was looking at the top shelf, so I looked away.
Right, no, he's looking at the
I
ceiling.
only looked at him for maybe a second. I bent down under the counter to put the broom and dustpan underneath, and when I stood back up to look at the customer, I felt like my heart nearly stopped. He was looking at me with a smile. Not a grin, but a wide-lipped smile.
Wide
Also
lips.
thinking right away now that this was the same man that was out in the mall from earlier. Only now he'd apparently taken off his black and white plaid shirt. I stared at him, and he stared at me, and I think this went on for 30 seconds. I didn't know.
That's too much time, okay? Generally, I'm not going to stare at anyone for more than 2 seconds. I'm gonna see what they're about, and if they're about this, we're going to immediately have 30 seconds? 30 seconds.
What to do, and I had actually frozen up.
30
in fear.
seconds.
The face he gave, the smile, was a pure look of horror.
Right.
Something straight from a horror film or someone's nightmares. I felt like he stared into my soul.
Oh, he
I
was.
opened my mouth to speak, and my voice trembled. I think I said, "Get out or I'm calling the cops." He didn't move. He didn't even bat an eye. I ran to the back room and locked the door so I could call my manager. She wouldn't pick up after several attempts, though. When I gave up, I heard a tap at the door. Not a knock, just a very gentle tap. I sat like a nervous wreck in that back room for a good 5 minutes, wanting to be anywhere but there. But when the fear of this person stealing a bunch of items and losing my job became greater than the actual fear...
I don't think you would lose your job in an instance like this, right? I don't think that could even be a thing.
Of the person, I stepped back outside and looked around. But the man was gone. He was gone for good this time. Our shop has cameras, so they caught all of it. When my shift ended, I told my manager about what happened and showed her the video footage. She was shocked and kind of freaked out herself.
Exactly, Dakota.
I only worked there for another month after that, then moved on.
All right, guys. So we have reached our hour mark. We're gonna go ahead and go because we need to actually start the process of finishing the content for today, right? So you guys all have an amazing day. We're doing Harry Mack on Friday, as usual, right? And next Wednesday, we will not be going live next Wednesday because I start my vacation. I'm going on vacation on Thursday. That's and Thursday morning I'm leaving Spain for a little while for vacation. I need it, right? So listen, you guys all have an amazing, amazing, amazing day. Enjoy it thoroughly, guys. And hopefully within the next 3 hours we'll have some content up for you guys. All right.